9 Max Brown show. Season's been flying by. Always does. Always does. And I'm coming off the picture perfect road trip as a color commentator. Very rare that I get a West Coast trip because obviously I cover ACC, so it's just baked into my schedule. Pretty much the past 2 years that come Thursday lunchtime, I'm flying cross country, LA to like half my flights this year through Atlanta. But regardless, this year I was in the farm for Stanford versus Pitt. Fourth time I've had Pitt. I know the Pitt faithful have been pumped on that because they're 4-0. Mason Heinschel's been one of the best quarterbacks in the country, literally, ever since the first time I called him. Not taking credit for that, but he's been balling. Met him on the 50-yard line for the first time this past week. It was cool chopping up with Narduzzi. But anyways, it was a good week of college football. A lot of I feel like this was the week where upsets or at least some shakeups hit me front and center. I know we've always had upsets, but it felt like really this week, and maybe it's because I'm living in ACC world where you had Miami lose, Georgia Tech lose, a couple teams get scares as well. Bill Belichick got his first win on a Friday night. I was pissed at that one. Sorry for those of you guys that followed my picks. I went with Syracuse because I saw them in person in the dome, and I was like, you know what? Ricky Collins found something late in that game, but in my bones, I was like, that's going to be tough. So I should have went UNC. It's all good. We're still over 500. We're live on TikTok, YouTube, X, Instagram. We got it all cooking. We are closing in on 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're over there hanging on YouTube or you're watching this after the fact, hit the subscribe button. There's been ebbs and flows, but we've cranked it up in a big way this past year. So trying to get to that number, and I think we will before the end of the college football regular season. Content's not stopping after the regular season, but that's the metric there. Chat, how we living? Nicole, what's going on? Always first in the chat. Eluzio, how we living? Me as the username. There we go. Lightning and Lawrence, what's going on? Would Will Stein be good at Cal if we move on from Wilcox? It's the first time I've heard a Wilcox entering the coaching carousel hot seat group chat in a little while. I know people were saying that, a few weeks ago, or at least preseason. Will Stein, definitely. I mean, if it gets to that, but I think Will Stein could get a more high-profile job than Cal at first glance, just to be honest. Best QB this week. I'm subbed. Best quarterback performance this week. Who was it? I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch as much. I caught up today watching college football, but yesterday I was locked into the World Series on my flight, and then YouTube TV I think screwed all of us, so I wasn't able to. It's harder to watch all the games. Who was the best quarterback performance I saw this week? I mean, Mason Heinschel at Pitt, but he had some goofy late turnovers. Who else? Arch rebounded in Texas. We'll get into Arch. We're talking Arch today. We're talking John Mateer at Oklahoma in the Oklahoma-Tennessee game, which I am bummed. I ran out of time making a preview or some of the preview games, but I was all over the Oklahoma-Tennessee one. I felt like last week we were being too critical of the Oklahoma pass rush and not complimentary enough to what Trinidad Chambliss was, and I think that showed out in that Ole Miss game. The fact that they didn't, a lot of people had them on upset alert, but I bring that up because you saw the Oklahoma pass rush show up at times in that Tennessee game, and defensively and kicker wise, ultimately why they won that one. But without further ado, let's hop into it. We got 3 segments today, and then if you're not catching these live, we're clipping them out. We're posting them on Mondays and Tuesdays. We had our best performing one last week with the Brian Kelly one, but we're leveling up these. But going on to Texas versus Vandy. Vandy failed me for the first time this season as against the spread. I thought the Commodores would take advantage. And Jake, if we have the other banner, throw that other banner up. But Vanderbilt 31, Texas 34. Is Texas actually getting better, or is this wishful thinking from fools like me who see my views go up on YouTube every single time we say the magic words Arch Manning? Because when we look at how the offense did improve, it's a big jump this week. Big jump. Get this table situated. Huge jump, though. Before the Mississippi State game on the middle column, as we're seeing right there, are just 10:26. And then since the Mississippi State fourth quarter, which on that note, if you're watching this, I made a whole video last week on how the fourth quarter of that game last week versus Mississippi State staved their season. That was not just a YouTube title. The numbers say there's something real happening from that quarter that translated over to the Vandy game. You're looking at third down conversions, night and day different. 38% before 10:26, afterwards pushing 60%. As a frame of reference, 40% is like good enough to win games. Anything above that is like getting it done. So 60%, that's obviously really good to a Vandy defense that had been playing well. And then the pressure rate allowed, which we'll get into, so much has been made. I've been one of those about, hey, offensive line struggling for Texas. Hey, Arch's footwork not being great. Arch not being able to get protected, the whole deal. Pressure rate is a big deal, obviously, but since then it's shown up. Almost 42% to start the year. Since that Mississippi State fourth quarter, just under 18%. And then looking forward to their schedule moving ahead. This past weekend versus Vandy, that was a top 10 win. We can look at the brand of Vandy and be like, it wasn't. It just felt like we're not necessarily maybe giving Texas credit for what that win truly was versus a good Vandy squad. Top 10 win, and they have 3 games left with 2 chances at signature wins against one of the 15 or so best teams in the country, being Georgia and Texas A&M at Georgia. And you finish up versus Texas A&M with a win like that. If they can go 2-1 to finish the deal, a 9-3 Texas team probably gets in. Those of you guys that have followed my content from the jump, I've been saying for a little while, a 9-3 team, it feels like this is the year where it happens. Right now, it feels like the SEC would edge out the Big Ten in that scenario. And then what's also helping, and this might be a short form video we got to cook up, but what's helping the Big Ten and the SEC is that the ACC is beating each other up. So the prospects of a second ACC team sneaking in there, I don't see it. I think it's going to be really tough because you're on track to have like a 2-loss team that's in that argument. And to me, a 9-3 team from the SEC or the Big Ten should get in over that 10-2 ACC team. I just think there's power to and there's non-power to. And I made a whole short form video on the impacts of that from a USC lens. But if you want to reward a USC for scheduling at a conference Notre Dame, or you want to reward a Texas for scheduling at a conference Ohio State to start the year, well, then if they're sitting at 9-3, that could be the decision point for the committee about, we got to, not that they're directly saying, they scheduled out a conference, so, we want them to keep having great beginning of the year games. I know USC's in October, but I think it becomes a factor where you get that's got to be a data point where it's, hey, if Texas scheduled UTSA week 1 or whoever else, Sam Houston State, I guess they played Sam Houston State, but then they weren't 9-3 and they were 10-2, and at that point we'd be like, of course, 10-2 Texas, they're in if they scheduled UTSA. Well, then that same logic should apply where, hey, they went on the road to Ohio State in a close game. Ohio State's maybe the number 1 team in the country. Anyways, I digress. But the can this Texas team make the playoff is not the interesting question. The interesting question is, can this Texas team win in the playoff? And to answer that, we got to go to the tape. And let's do exactly that. I'll share my screen real quick. And before we dive in, I got a little side note. I wouldn't be wasting your guys' time if it wasn't an interesting side note. But following up from last week, 2 fun elements. Let me see. And Jake, if you can, I don't know if there's anything we can do formatting-wise. Make sure I'm not on that right-hand side. 1 sec. Whatever, we should be good. But 2 quick little notes. So last week I made a whole video on Texas and how I love Ryan Wingo. And you guys were in the comments being like, if you love Ryan Wingo and we want to give him the ball more, he needs to catch the rock. Well, back-to-back weeks, and maybe they said this on the broadcast, and you're like, Max, you're a broken record. I hope they said this on the broadcast because this is clear as day. Sark ran the same opening play back-to-back games. He ran it last week versus Mississippi State, and then the same exact thing this week versus Vandy. Little swoop motion, as we used to call it for when I played for Sark. And I saw Texas fans in the comments being like, Max, you need to do a better job of reminding us you played for Sark because it gives your videos a whole different level of credibility. Sark's a changed man now, but a lot of the offensive stuff is exactly the same. It's going to be a swoop motion. Back-to-back weeks, they spit it out there, and Wingo is a violent runner. Vanderbilt's going to bring pressure with that linebacker, get him out on the edge. Wrapping up is optional. Play one for Vandy, and it's literally the exact same thing. Forgive me if they said that on the broadcast, but good on Sark. Don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then I've included this before we get into some of the more scheme stuff. I'm talking 11 personnel. I'm talking Arch. But right here, I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. One of the biggest ass chewings I ever got in my playing career was on a random spring ball practice by Sark sitting right behind me because we were doing Hail Mary drill. And it's like a drill or like a Hail Mary scenario, down whatever, only 30 seconds left, and you get in a Hail Mary scenario. And I, on Howard Jones Field, USC fans will know that, I threw the ball out of bounds over the end zone. And Sark absolutely ripped me a new one. Did I deserve it? I guess. Was I a redshirt freshman still struggling to catch up to the speed of college football? And was it probably the best coaching strategy to absolutely cuss my ass out in front of everyone? Probably not. But I bring this up because poor Arch did the exact same thing. Hail Mary, chucks it up, chucks it out of bounds. And I literally watched this and I was like, it's deja vu from I threw that, and right when the ball like sailed 5 yards over bounds, I was like, gosh dang it, Sark's gonna get on me. Because obviously as a quarterback, you know the deal. I was wired where I didn't need people to yell at me. I was my own worst critic. Arch might be the same way. But then the very next play, and new school Sark might not yell at players. In fact, like I can't imagine Sark cussing out Arch. Just because of a little bit of the vibe of Arch and just the whole Manning physique, and maybe he is coaching him hard, and Max, you're out of pocket with that comment. But he almost does it the exact same thing. There was a penalty, and then he's going to barely get in the end zone down here. And again, I'll get back to the breakdown shortly, but I thought you guys would find this interesting. But he almost does it 2 times in a row. And if you do it 2 times in a row, old school Sark would be coming right at you. So he got away with that one in the first half. Right here, though, moving on to the X's and O's, more of that is X's and O's, but more of the strategy side of things. So Texas utilized 11 personnel on 2/3 of their offensive snaps per True Media. Only the 3rd time all season the Longhorns have been in 11 more than 65% of the time. That's a big deal. 11 personnel, only 1 tight end on the field. And that stat is a total change in philosophy from 10 personnel, which is no tight ends, or 12 personnel, which is what Sark can do decent amount of the time. But it changes what you're getting to both in the pass game and the run game. And to give you a concrete example of what this looks like, and it's hard because I'm not in their meeting rooms and I don't know necessarily how a run concept changes or whatnot. But one thing that was blatantly obvious in this game is 4 or 5 times they're throwing bubble screens towards the tight end side. So when you're in 11 personnel, you can see in this formation, look how spread out the whole offense is. Obviously, they're in empty here, but the secondary on the defense, there's much more air. It feels more like spread or air raid, whatever lane you want to go down. But the point that I'm bringing home is by this body being an 11 personnel tight end and you're splitting them out, consistently they have this tight end now blocking a corner. That's a mismatch right away. Very easy read. It's just a numbers game for Arch. He feels like he has leverage in the bottom of the screen with only the corner 1 and then the inside linebacker 2. Safety's high enough, spit it out there, and by having a tight end block the corner, you're not going to have 10-yard gains every time, but consistently make someone miss with your athleticism, and you're consistently there getting 6-yard gains. Versus if that is a receiver and you're not as strong at the point of attack, maybe you're not picking that up. Again, right here, tight end body, he's going to block this corner. You're an 11 personnel. You can feel how much more air and space is just in the field in general. You're not bunched up right here in the box. Again, bubble screen, spitting it out. You get a tight end blocking on a corner. Boom. Strong at the point of attack. 6-yard gain. Doesn't look like anything spectacular. It keeps your offense on schedule. And then just for good measure, they did this like 5 times, but just for good measure and to drive the point home. And make sure you guys know I'm not just stretching a point to make one. It's showing up on film. Tight end body here. You're going to block this corner. Thing to note, though, this linebacker, he's watching film. This plays in the second half. With Texas's receivers' athleticism, if you make this linebacker miss and you're strong at the point of attack tight end-wise, you can have a big gain. That one went for 12. This was from Sark after the game. We shifted from, hey, let's try to slow things down. Let's play to our defense. They're the strength of our team. To now we need to be more in attack mode offensively. Part of me is kind of like, that's a little BS. Like, I know Sark. We all know how good of a play caller he is. You're telling me that he's been consciously trying to slow things down for his offense? I don't really think so. Like, that's just not how you're wired if you're Sark. And I've been watching the All-22, and we've done a bunch of breakdowns for him. When you're watching the film, it doesn't look like you're trying to be conservative and slow things down. In fact, I've been complimentary of Sark being like, hey, even with Arch's struggles, he's still been giving Arch the keys to the car. And he hasn't been calling plays that are so simplistic to try to protect his quarterback that you're not giving him enough answers. No, he's been giving Sark, 1st and 10 downfield pass concepts. So I don't know how much I buy that, but that's what Sark's saying. And it worked today, obviously, in terms of being a little bit more in attack mode. And here is a good example of doing that. In terms of attack mode, I felt it watching the first drive of the third quarter. Texas marches all the way down the field, scores a touchdown, a lot of which were passing plays. Here's one right here. They're going to have double post by the outside-most receiver in the slot, and then they're dialing up this third receiver on a little corner route. I love this play. Sark used to call this not on 1st and 10, like we're saying, like we're seeing right here. He would call this when you had to have a chunk play in like 2-minute drill, which speaks to the attack mode mentality. If you're calling maybe a 2-minute mode beater in 1st and 10, either way, it's a great route. It's great timing by Arch. Look at how he gets this ball on time. And again, it's attack mode. You're pushing the ball down the field. This is still a ball game. You're being aggressive. You're trusting Arch to make a play. It's worth noting, and it was fun diving into this with my producer Jake. But Connor Robertson was their former backup center. He's now starting at center. Texas got their previous center, Cole Hudson, back from injury this week. Instead of plugging him in at center, they put him back at his old position, which was bumping him to guard. That now gives Texas upperclassmen all across the interior of their offensive line, both guard spots and at the center spot. And Sark credited that for being a change and having a big role in why Arch only got pressured on 6 of 34 dropbacks on Saturday. Night and day different from what we saw early on in the year. That's 17.6% pressure rate. And that 17.6% pressure rate was by far the season low for a unit that had Manning being pressured on 42% of dropbacks in the first 8 games of the season. Offensive line adjustments there, that helps. It also helps when Arch is processing and recognizing when the defense is blitzing and getting the ball out of his hands quickly. Here's a good example. It's that same drive. I believe it's that same drive. First drive in the third quarter. Arch is going to recognize pressure. Corner here, linebacker here. They're both going to pressure. Again, what do we got? 11 personnel, only one tight end on the field for Texas. They're going to dial up a little curl route. You always want to replace the blitz with the ball, replace pressure with the throw, whatever term you want to use. That's exactly what Arch does here. They're bringing two guys, corner and a backer, replace it with the tight end on a little curl route, get the completion, move on. 1, 2, 3, ball. No one's on him. Excellent quarterback play right there. That's like a 16-yard gain. Another example of getting the ball out quickly. And again, when you're watching on your couch, you're like, oh, that's just a throw that a quarterback should make. Arch has not been making these throws consistently. They go a little stack concept here on the bottom of the screen, and they're going to go a deep out by the point man and then a little smaller out, or shorter out by this back guy right here. You're lining up in this formation to get this look and give Arch a quick rip to the outside. But this is tight coverage. Arch is on the left hash here. He rips this accurately towards the sideline, on point, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, not allowing the rush to be a factor, helping out your offensive line. That's a great ball. Check that out. This is a great ball. These are the types of throws that should be easy, second nature for Arch from the pocket, but that is not easy. Wide side of the field, on time, pretty good coverage with a corner right on his hip there. And then if you package them both together, so I know I was critical of it, but of Sark saying we were much more in attack mode, and then the footage and the stats saying the offensive line is doing a great job protecting Arch, and Arch is doing a great job of getting the ball out of his hands. Well, it showed up on the touchdown throw that put the game on ice. This put the game away. It's all coming together on this play right here. You got Vanderbilt, they're going to blitz 6. They're going to blitz 7, but one guy's like spine kind of. So it's 6.5. They're blitzing 6.5. And then they got 4 DBs in coverage, or 3 DBs and 4 DBs. Yeah, I guess they're treating the running back as the fourth receiver. But anyways, I digress. You got go ball on the bottom of the screen. You got a little climb route over here. And then that's not true. There's a motion right here. They motion this guy down. He climbs out over here. Then you got a dig route on the top of the screen here. And then backer-wise, they blitz this guy. And I'm pretty sure they bring this guy down and blitz him. But they bring a safety. I'll play it a little bit and then bring it back down. Bring him down. Got it. My bad. It was these guys. This backer's coming. This safety's coming. Boom. You got man coverage from this corner, and this corner, and it's a home run shot on the bottom of the screen. Excellent blitz pickup. They're bringing 7 or 6.5. Running back steps up, sticks his nose in there, and then look at how Arch gets this on time. It's a strike. It's a dime. Bottom of the screen. Touchdown. Good night, Vanderbilt. Your run, your October run is not carrying over to November. So to finish the deal, or to round this out, my question, can Texas win a playoff game? I got to see more. This is the right step. There's still some concerning things in there where Arch's footwork to me is still not sharp. It's still not where it needs to be. This game, they dictated tempo. They dictated terms. My question is, when it's not as pretty and it's not as clean cut for Texas, can Arch win you a game with his right arm in the fourth quarter versus a ranked team? That's where I'm still in wait and see mode. I do think they have the chops to sneak their way into a playoff. I'm not there to say that they can win a playoff game. Chat, how we living? Brighton, what's going on? Andrew, AJ, good to see you again. Do you think LSU wins out, could sneak in there? Remind me LSU's record again. You guys know I love Garrett Nussmeier. I think, oh man, I think a 3-loss SEC team. I think a 3-loss SEC team has a good shot at sneaking their way in there. So to answer your question, yes. If LSU were to win out, maybe. I'd have to look at the tiebreakers and whatnot because they have a long ways to go. And I think there's other SEC teams ahead of them that I think have a cleaner path to getting 9 wins. And we'll get into that. The very next segment is Oklahoma, which Oklahoma, I believe, has the hardest SEC schedule coming up. We got a page there I'll get into, but they obviously play LSU. Excuse me. Fun fact, and that's gross for all of you guys that had to witness that. I never drink carbonated beverages when I'm calling games. Some guys drink carbonated beverages because their throat gets like dry. I've had some announcers tell me that. I don't do it because it like lumps up right there, as you guys just saw with my gross ass burp. But I'm breaking my rule right now because we're just chilling at home. But on air, it's coffee, water, Gatorade Zero yesterday, but no carbonated beverages. AJ says, wait, the Calgorhythm has a football team? I thought they were just all meme lords. The Cal definitely has a football team, and they have what is going to be one of the hottest quarterbacks this offseason. And I got a short form video coming on this because it hit me this year where I've seen Jaron Kiave Sagapolatele and I've seen Mason Heinschel. And Heinschel's playing better than JKS. But if you're those guys, yes, you're playing in the Power Four, but those guys could command $4-5 million contracts. 6 if someone's really screwing around. That's no joke. That is no joke. Those true freshman quarterbacks, if you're the new head coach at Auburn and you're interviewing for that job and you say, hey, Mr. Booster, I'll come be your guy, but we got to go get ourselves a quarterback. I'm sick and tired of Auburn's quarterback struggles. Let's go get JKS. Let's go get Mason Heinschel. That's not fun to talk about. And I know Pitt fans are going to be like, Max, slow up and chill out and all that. That is very much real in today's day and age with college football. And there's something there. And I think there's also another fun element with quarterbacks right now of, and I haven't listened to the video, but I saw the headline from Todd McShay where we've kind of seen this quarterback class go up and down, right? We loved Drew Aller to start the year, and I think Drew Aller's out of eligibility and Nussmeier as well. But this quarterback class, there's not that like carry the torch guy like there was last year with Cam Ward or years before that class was loaded. Point being, though, if some of those guys that are on the fringe come back to school because they can get paid $3, $4, $2.5 million, there's a pool of guys that I think are going to have that decision that are really good college quarterbacks that might revert and come back to school. We shall see. And that's a phenomenal segue to the next segment about the Oklahoma Sooners and John Mateer. Oklahoma 33, Tennessee 27. And when we look at John Mateer at Wazoo and the John Mateer at Oklahoma, they have been two different players. Pull up that spider chart in a sec. If you were Andrew Luck, one sec, guys. We're getting this figured out. One sec. If you were Andrew Luck, what would you do to get more people to Stanford games? The stadium is somehow seeming to get people emptier, painful to see. Let me get back to you on that. And yeah, Jake, there we go. Love it. John Mateer at Wazoo and John Mateer at Oklahoma have been two different players. Look at this spider chart. 2024. And you guys know I love myself some of these spider charts. 2024, lights out, John Mateer. Reason why he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. 2025 hasn't been as sharp, which is a surprise. If you would have told me that after the first, 3 weeks of the season, I would not have believed you. I would have thought John Mateer's chart was more like the left side. But Sooner fans and most of the college football world knows a big factor in his lack of production is the hand surgery that he had in the middle of the season. That explains a big reason why we're seeing that drop off in that spider chart. John Mateer pre versus post hand surgery has been two different players as well. Seeing this chart right here, pre-hand surgery on the left-hand side, post-hand surgery on the right-hand side, and then versus Tennessee, how those stats compare on the right-hand side. Last night against Tennessee, we did get signs that things might be changing. some of those stats did level up. He had his best night rushing the ball as a Sooner. The Oklahoma offense had a ugly 99-yard first half. Let me say that again for just the back clip. The Oklahoma offense had an ugly 99-yard first half, but they were able to rack up 252 yards in the second half, due in large part to Mateer converting first downs with his legs. And the biggest thing that stuck out to me with those yards, after contact numbers. You can't rack up those. You can't rack up those yards with second thoughts about your hand. That's for sure. And the hand did not show up in the film, which I'll get to as well. The passing numbers, though, don't make it as clear of a case for John Mateer being all the way back. Yards per attempt, way down. We got to look at the tape to figure out why exactly that is. Because this question, is he back? Is John Mateer back? Isn't just a fun thought experiment. It's going to influence the entire playoff picture. Because when you look at Oklahoma's schedule moving forward, like, make no mistake about it, 9-3 Oklahoma that gets 2 of these next 3 games is going to have the best resume that we've seen from any of the 3 lost teams. And if they're rolling into December with their defense and a 100% John Mateer, nobody is going to want to play the Sooners. So, is John Mateer that man again? We got to check the tape to make sure. Load this up. While I'm loading this up, Stanford. Sorry. Where's my thing at? Oh, I was looking for Oklahoma logo, and I was like, all right, Ohio State logo, Tennessee logo. I forgot they played on the road. Boom, 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 boom. All right, sorry for the delay here. Is he back? Is his hand giving him issues? To me, this throw jumped out to me. It's a third down, second half of, like, the hand is not an issue. And maybe it's adrenaline that's getting him past it. And it's an issue when he's, not playing. And Jake, actually, do we have that video of him wincing? Here, let me do the breakdown first, and then we'll do the video. This play, to me, as a former quarterback, you're not making this throw if your hand's bothering you. He's got an out route here on the top of the screen and then a go ball. This is a trap cover 2 corner and a cover 2 linebacker. This is a dangerous situation to throw a quick out route on. If you're a quarterback that's dealing with a hand injury and you're not sure if you can rip it, or you're not confident in your accuracy, you're not attempting this throw, especially, which sometimes it works against John Mateer, when you have legs where, hey, you can just be like, if it's gray at all, I'll just try to run for it and I'll just try to play backyard football and all that. No, right here, John Mateer fits this into a tight window, which then to me says, hey, his hand's fine. And then also, like, when you're watching the plays and the play calls and what they're getting to, it's not overly conservative, where nothing really sticks out to me like the hand is a huge issue. Or even say huge issue at all. That being said, concern in terms of where John Mateer's at and this Oklahoma offense is at is, I see a quarterback that is feeling the need to play hero ball consistently. Max, what does that mean? One, I think his eyes are going down, and he's feeling the need that he has to run and make plays earlier than he needs to. By doing that, I don't think his pocket movement is as strong, and he's also missing reads from time to time. Here is the perfect example. This is the last drive before halftime. They're trying to drive, get points on the board, and convert here. Tennessee is going to go Tampa 2 on this coverage. You got here, corner or a safety bailing out. This linebacker, Tampa 2, the old Monty Kiffin special. Two things happen here. One, John Mateer gets fooled in that he's looking to hit this curl route on the bottom of the screen, which will never happen versus a cover 2 look. So first off, poor recognition by John Mateer. He takes his eyes there first. There's no way you should be going there with the ball. But secondly, he has another curl right here by his slot receiver that is open, and it's tough, right? It's I forget the down and distance, but it's a long down and distance. It's tough to hang in the pocket. It's tough when your offensive line's getting beat. And the point that I'm trying to drive home is by John Mateer, one, not recognizing it, but then two, he quickly panics or quickly gets out of his drop and then scrambles to the right. And when you're watching it at home, it's like, oh, the offensive line's getting beat and John Mateer is having to run around and whatnot. But if he hangs in this pocket, that slot receiver at the top of the screen is open versus this cover 2 look. And it's good enough protection to hang in this pocket. Again, my point is hero ball. Right there, hang in the pocket. You got protection. Tennessee's only rushing 4. You have 6 blockers, 5 offensive linemen, and the running back. I would love for John to hang in the pocket and see this curl route that's about to come open. Instead, he flushes out. It looks like, he's just playing backyard ball. He gets like a 4-yard gain, whatever. You could say, Max, this is a byproduct of the offensive line struggling. I would agree with you. If the offensive line was better, I don't think it forces John to feel that need to play hero ball, and he would have better trust in his offensive line. I also think if he had a run game, that would add to the factor. That would help or lessen his need to feel like he's playing hero ball. But then literally 2 plays later, you have point man with a post route. Back guy works inside route to or inside leverage to an out route. And then this tight end leaks into the flat. 3-man concept, a concept where your whole vision is always towards the left side or left-hand side of the field. And Mateer misses this tight end. This tight end is wide ass open. And this is 3rd and 7, I believe. Yeah, 2 plays later. But you can see again, John Mateer feels the need to scramble, break the pocket, doesn't have to. Check this tight end. 1, 2, 3. That's picked up. That's still picked up. And I can empathize a little bit of maybe John's like, hey, if I hit this tight end here, these guys will rally, these defenders will rally, and I won't pick up the first down. And he's saying, he feels, hey, I'm so good. I'm let me try to make something happen and pick up the first down. But that's also just not good quarterback play. Right there, see, now we've seen him eyes down, try to break the pocket. And I think what he's trying to do, and I wish I had the back view for you guys, I think his instincts are telling him, hey, I got a crease right there. And then this defensive end quickly closes down. I'll get to that in the next little portion. John Mateer is extremely mobile. I do not think he has good footwork in the pocket. Differences. Tom Brady, terrible mobility, excellent footwork. Those don't always go hand in hand. But obviously, point being, tight end's wide open, get him the ball, get the first down, move on, get yourself some points before the half. Instead, he's dancing around, trying to make plays, doesn't ultimately get there, and it looks like excellent coverage, and it looks like poor pass protection. It's not. I mentioned it just then, but big takeaway for me for John Mateer to get back to where he was at before. He's got to stop this happy feet stuff. He has poor footwork in the pocket. He does these aggressive hops, and he is causing more pressure upon himself than he ultimately needs to. Here, it's a little 3-man progression on the top of the screen. You got to dig by the tight end in the slot. You got a like seek curl route right here, and then a little wheel route on the bottom of the screen. This dig route is wide ass open. Mateer gets happy feet, misses that. And I think if he had calmer feet in the pocket, he'd find this. See, you can see right there, right as I pause that, you can already see him leaking to his right, and you can already see him cutting his drop short, and he's just not on rhythm here. and I'll let this play, and then I'll use the back view as well. But look at that dig route, aggressively steps up, tries to hit the check down, almost interception, got away with one. Back view is better. I want you to pay attention to two things. One, how he drifts to his right, and then how he unnecessarily, after he drifts right, aggressively steps up. And he's stepping up he's making the pressure worse. Versus if he just did 3, hitch, get the ball out, he'd find this dig. 1, 2, 3. See, look at, he's already hopping to his right, already hopping aggressively up. Like, bro, just stay right here in the pocket, hang out right here, throw this ball here, make it a lot easier on yourself. And then here's a third example. This is in the second half. This is the weakest of the examples, so I wanted to have this go third. Actually, no, this is early on, but I put it third because if I put it first, you guys would be like, especially because I've been critical a little bit of Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. I loved Oklahoma in their pass rush this last week, but Oklahoma fans coming at me a little bit. This one is a little bit of a stretch, but you'll get my point, where it's 3rd and 10. So again, deep down in distance, they have a drag route coming underneath. You have a little vertical route by this tight end, vertical route here, and then a dig on the bottom of the screen. Again, this is the winner right here. Hit the ball underneath and see if you can get it on time, but then after fact, he can run up and, yards after catch, get the first down. Tennessee, going to rush 4. Right here. Find pocket, but then you're going to start to see Mateer drift this way. And it allows, like right here, this right defensive end should never make this sack. Never make this sack. But because Mateer gets drifted to his right, it puts your right tackle in a terrible position. And I think what's happening is Mateer is feeling this rush right here. But I would argue, and I wish I had the back view for you guys, with his mobility, I would die to have this mobility. And I think that he could get through that lane right there and see if he can extend a play rather than drifting to his right and falling into this sack. Elite mobility, poor pocket awareness. Poor pocket awareness. Because when he has excellent pocket awareness, he does things like, sorry. Takes the sack there. Oh, this is another one. Sorry, my bad. My bad, guys. This is a whole other one. I won't belabor on this point, but because you guys get at this right now. This guy's coming down below, and again, takes a sack. Right there, you can see him right here. It's fine. It's fine. But he's like scrambling. He's hopping. He's drifting to his right. Eyes all over the place. That's a tough look. Sorry, that's the one that I thought. That's good defense. That's good defense. But you can see my point is like the chaotic eyes and the chaotic feet. It's a byproduct of a guy that I feel like doesn't trust his offensive line and is feeling the weight of an entire offense on his shoulders versus if you had a run game, if you had a better offensive line, I don't think you see the like panicky eyes and the panicky feet as much. And this is the point that I was trying to drive home. Because when you do get him outside the pocket and he does get outside of a rush lane, man, can he make the defense pay. Gets the first down. Big pickup there. We can't. Let me go back to normal. We can't discuss this game without discussing the actual key, though. That's my thoughts on John Mateer. Oklahoma kicker Tate Sandel became the first FBS kicker to make 3 50-yard kicks since the Sooners' Gabe Brickick. I don't even know how to say that. Sorry, make fun of me in the comments. In 2021, that helped turn the short fields and the defense were giving them into a lot of Sooner points. The Athletic give the Sooners a 14% chance to make the playoff. And, dude, like I said, they'd be an absolute nightmare to play. If they had a healthy John Mateer and a healthy R. Mason Thomas, you do not want to play the Sooners. But John Mateer, he's got to figure out the pocket mobility there, and they got to help him out with a better run game. But at this point, it feels like that's just not going to be part of what they are in 2025. For Ben Arbuckle to get right in year 2, if John Mateer comes back, which, that could be dangerous, the whole offseason is going to be, hey, get these Sooners a run game. But they're in the mix. They're in the mix. Love Oklahoma's defensive line. And before any of you Sooners say, Max, you didn't like our defensive line 2 weeks ago, that's not true. I said that the Ole Miss passing attack was going to be by far the best passing attack that you saw. Some of that was true. I like your defensive line. It's good. It's going to give offenses fits, because most offenses aren't as good as Ole Miss. Control Plus Z says, as a Husker fan, I will take John Mateer. Interesting you say that. Because I was on my airplane ride when I saw the end of the USC game. And for a hot sec, I thought that Nebraska may have benched Dylan Raiola. And Raiola has tons of talent. But at first I was like, oh, dang, Raiola must have really shit the bed in this game. I later found out that he was hurt. But when you go back and watch the last 2 Nebraska games, dude, Dylan Raiola has taken a lot of sacks. And he's still really good quarterback. Nebraska needs to stick with him. But I'm a guy who's coming off calling the Pitt game, where Pitt benched a month ago Eli Holstein, who was not playing that bad, but they love the freshman behind them. There's been more cutthroat benchings in college football before. I'm not saying Dylan Raiola should be benched, but my point is, who is? Damn. All right. Well, then, hey, young guy going in. But my point is, my producer's talking in my ear. I obviously missed the injury, but my point is, even play before that in terms of taking sacks and things of that nature. Anyways, they'll tough in year 3 for Matt Rule. 3 weeks ago, we were thinking it's fast track to be the Penn State job. Does get the contract extension, but could be a grind for Nebraska down the stretch. Shit. Hoping TJ can step up. Literally, yeah, Texas Tech. I'm coming out with a short form video on Texas Tech in reference to the backup quarterbacks. I'm coming up with a short form video this week on, I think Trinidad Chambliss's success for Ole Miss is going to change. It's now going to be a conversation topic for college GMs, college head coaches of yo, do we want to invest $100,000 into our backup quarterback? Maybe. Flip of a switch. It can be the most important player on your team. And let's go get the best D2 quarterback every year. Let's go get the best D1 AA quarterback every year and say, hey, I know you like playing, but how do you like $200,000? There's some teams that can afford that. I think Chambliss's success and some of the injuries, and Texas Tech's success as well with Hammond, it gets you thinking. That's for sure. All right, last but not least, let's go a little Ohio State, Julian Sayin. I'm excited for this one because I have not talked about Julian Sayin at all this year. Fun breaking down the film. Someone actually, for the first time in my 6-year broadcasting career, someone on Twitter called me I said that I've become an SEC homer. Look at my helmet over my right shoulder, top right. I'll never be an SEC homer. But we're a YouTube guy. The SEC fans consume the most content, so we got to lean that way. That's where the eyeballs are. Same with Big Ten, Ohio State too, and Penn State. It was Penn State 14, Ohio State 38. Max, why are you talking about a 21-point favorite taking care of business? Well, because at some point, I have to talk about him. Julian Sayin. He's the most accurate quarterback in the country. Sayin's completion percentage is 80.7, and we're in the month of November. That's not a typo. Second place among quarterbacks with 200 or more dropbacks is sitting at 71.3%. 73.1%, excuse me. 73.1% is getting it done, even in the RPO give me free completions era. Let me say that again. He completes 7% more of his passes than the second most accurate quarterback in the country. Even crazier, I don't think the average fan has watched more than 2 quarters of one of his games since really Texas, because I know for me, I've been locking into the all 22 footage, but I'm kind of buzzing through it. I watched the UW game, but ever since then, it's been like, oh, you see the score, and it's like, all right, Ohio State taking care of business. And I don't really blame fans who fall into that bucket, because their only ranked game this season was a noon kickoff versus Luke Altmaier's squad against Illinois. When we look at Ohio State's schedule, their last 4 games are at Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan. That is a gettable schedule if I've seen one, especially off of the segments we just did with the SEC teams and the tough backstretch of November that they have. And I don't want to wait for that Michigan game to talk about a guy who right now is number 3 in Heisman odds. I want to figure out today, is this dude, Julian Sayin, actually really that good? Only one way to find out. That's why you guys are hanging around. Let's dive into the footage. All right, a big part of this, let's state the elephant in the room. A big part of this is his receivers. No doubt about it. Defenses have to generate pressure without blitzing, because you cannot leave one guy to cover Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate reaps the benefits of a lot of teams doing cloud coverage towards Jeremiah Smith. But regardless, Julian Sayin did connect on all 11 of his targets to those 2 dudes this past week. That's getting it done. And when blitzed over the entire season, Julian Sayin's completion percentage is up to 83%. So you're in a tough scenario regardless. This is one of the throws that stuck out early in the game where Julian Sayin is not just game manager-y mode. He is throwing dimes out here. This is the first drive of the game. I credit Brian Hartline and Ryan Day for moving Jeremiah Smith around to get him the ball even, or to make it harder to cloud him. When you move a receiver in the slot, if you're a receiver 1 and a receiver 1's moving into the slot so often, that's why, because it's harder to double team guys, because you can motion, you can move them out, you can, when you're a receiver in the slot, you can have them start up on the left side of the ball and run to the right-hand side of the ball. When I was at USC, we used to do that with Juju Smith-Schuster. If we're trying to force the issue and get him the ball, put him in the slot. Right here, Jeremiah Smith in the slot, little slot fade, bottom of the screen. You got a hitch on the bottom, then you got a little return route by the number 3 receiver, return route by the tight end here, and then the little dig route, I believe that's Carnell Tate on the top of the screen. Penn State's thinking that they're a top 5 team in the country. They're thinking that they're a savvy defense. They get cute here. They're trying to disguise versus Julian Sayin, try to have him, this safety, work towards the left hash, and then he's late to getting over to Jeremiah Smith. Because let's all be honest, if you got a single high safety, you want to know which way he's going towards Jeremiah Smith's side. So it's late, but it really is double coverage here from the safety, and then that's one defender. Second defender is the head up man for Julian or on Jeremiah Smith. Max, I thought this was a Julian Sayin breakdown. It is. Look at how good this back shoulder throw is. He's going to throw to Jeremiah Smith. 1, 2, 3. Ball out right here. This is a completed pass. He's on the right hash with the safety tracking, a corner all over him. Yes, I know this is Jeremiah Smith, but you got to give him a ball and give him a shot. That's exactly what he does. This is an absolute dime. Catch. I'll play it again. From the top, check this out. Big time. Big time. I mentioned the blitzing numbers. Completion percentage is 83% against the blitz. He's going to get a blitz on this page or on this picture. You got this end who's rushing. I know it's not a blitz, but then he's also got this safety who's coming as well. Replace the blitz with the throw. He's got Jeremiah Smith here in the slot. Why do they have Jeremiah Smith lined up in the slot? Well, an additional reason to what I just said is get his big frame for a lot of these RPO actions. It's going to be a slant by Smith right here, down by the goal line, his big frame. It's not just jump balls. It's you put it on his frame. That's a tough hit for a safety or a nickel. Some defenses have bigger bodies there, but a nickel corner, nickel safety, regardless. But look at this throw and how great it is on time for Julian Sayin. He recognizes the blitz. He's got Jeremiah Smith. Ball out on his chest. If he's late at all, he's getting Jeremiah Smith killed. Look at how early he throws this football. Jeremiah Smith is not even out of his break. That ball, he's already thrown this ball. Jeremiah Smith is not out of his break. If this ball's high, it could be picked. If it's behind him, it could be picked. If it's in front of him and it's inaccurate, it could allow this safety to make a play. But he delivers an absolute dime. Oh, red flag. The red flag drawing. Got to be careful. It's 2 weeks in a row. Almost making it an R-rated breakdown. Right on his face mask. Getting it done. Excellent throw. That looks easy. You might be sitting on it on your couch, standing next to someone who's like, anyone could throw to Jeremiah Smith. Not anyone could make that throw. That's throwing early, not even on time. That's throwing early and then accurate right here to not kill your receiver. Sayin ended up going 20 of 23 for 316 yards, 4 touchdowns this Saturday. He's statistically one of the best deep ball passers in the country as well. That definitely showed up in this game. Here, you got a little swoop motion to the field. Sorry, I hit my cord. 1 sec. Of passes 20 yards or more, you got Julian Sayin, 27 attempts. Not as many, and we'll get into Darian Mensah. Darian Mensah has 51 downfield attempts. That's crazy. But the completion percentage is absurd. Over 20 yards down the field, greater than 70%, 74%. That's the type of completion percentage number that you're seeing with RPO-heavy offenses. Or like me back in the day at Pitt when we had little shovel passes, that would get your completion percentage up. But it's big time. PFF grade super high. Julian Sayin getting it done downfield, and it shows up on film as well when you have little swoop motion by the receiver on the top of the screen. They're going to dial up Carnell Tate. It's a little dig, and then he realizes I don't even need the rest of the dig, and he just goes straight up field. Then you have a little curl route by Jeremiah Smith on the top of the screen. Excellent catch by Carnell Tate. But an accurate throw by Julian Sayin. Works up, double coverage. Gosh, it's terrible coverage. They don't even touch him. You want to know how good Carnell Tate is? It's not just the Jeremiah Smith show. They don't even touch him. Dime. Here again, another example. Deep ball shot. Vertical down the field. Vertical by this tight end. Other tight ends motioning out. He's got a little hitch on the bottom of the screen. Jeremiah Smith going vertical as well. Initially, I thought this was the classic cover 4 beater of like tight end, get this safety to clamp down, and then a deep post over the top by Tate. But this is like really just double go ball, and it's Carnell Tate just being better. I believe this was Tate. Excuse me if it's wrong. Tough matchup for teams. Good luck with both these guys. And I made this point on the kickoff show for ESPN this past week. But if Julian Sayin is going to win the Heisman, it's going to be because of Carnell Tate. It's not going to be because of Jeremiah Smith, because Carnell Tate's going to get the one-on-one matchups that allow these deep balls to happen and put his stats over the top. Because the knock on Julian Sayin is going to be, oh, well, it must be nice. You have these other receivers. So his stats have to be crazy. Right now, that completion percentage is pretty good. Really good. Really good. I don't want to that completion percentage is Heisman worthy. I do think Julian Sayin, if he's going to get over the hump and win the Heisman, has to have more of a moment, more of a like, yo, deep into the season, like he's the reason they are winning. But this film is really, really, really good. This is one where it's not just, receivers beating him easy downfield. This is where he gets hit. Here you got little drag route by the tight end. You got a little sit down by the running back. You got Jeremiah Smith on a dig route. You got a little out route here. And then again, deep ball shot. It's ultimately what they're going to hit down the field. But what I want you to notice is Julian Sayin gets hit on this one. The anticipation, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, downfield, and then accurately as well. Makes it look easy. And it's fun, too, because I only watch the coach's footage. I don't watch the TV copy. You can see his moxie growing, too. He's, like, fist pumping and pointing and, like, tracking the receiver downfield just for good measure. I'll show it to you one more time. But you can see, I have no idea what kind of personality Julian Sayin is, but you can see his moxie with no sound continue to raise. Oh, that was Jeremiah Smith. My bad. I said Carnell Tate before. But another deep ball, another day at the office. This, to me, though, going back to the Wisconsin game from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now, because they had a bye week, this is what, if I'm an Ohio State fan, makes me incredibly optimistic about the future and where I view Julian Sayin now differently than where Kyle McCord was at a few years ago, where Kyle McCord, more of that game managery. Julian Sayin has the chops to be different now, but also moving forward. This is Wisconsin with Tampa 2. Safety, and then I think this is a third safety who's ultimately going to, manage this middle hole area. The route versus Tampa 2, you really got one option because both those safeties are going to take the deep ball on the bottom and top of screen away. And so this slot has to be your middle winner down the middle of the field and bank that he can beat this safety right here in the middle of the field. Look at the pocket mobility from Sayin. He'll get flushed to his left, and then he puts this on a dime. This is an excellent catch, and I'd be surprised. I don't know how the broadcast – I think Joel Klatt called this game. I don't know how the broadcast shined this one, but I would imagine just given the TV look, it's a hell of a catch. It's just as good of a throw. And it's not only the throw itself, but it's the confidence to rip this thing into tight coverage that would make me really excited if I was an Ohio State fan. Navigates the pocket. That is an absolute dime. I'll pause it midway through again to show you what he's working with window-wise. Right now, he's gearing to throw this ball. I mean, if you're a big-time 5-star number 1 quarterback, you should be throwing this ball. But you got 3 defenders deep. Put this on a dime. It's a really good throw. Really, really, really good throw. So it's not just, initially when I sat down to do this breakdown, I was like, oh, he's so accurate. It must be a lot of dump offs and it must be a lot of easy throws. That's not necessarily the case. They're being aggressive. They're pushing the ball down the field. And what's different compared to the first game versus Texas, you don't get the sense watching this film that they're protecting him or insulating him or not giving him the full keys to the car. They're giving him the keys to the car because he's making throws like this too. I mentioned the back shoulder to Jeremiah Smith in the game on Saturday, but then a back shoulder to Carnell Tate here versus Wisconsin. This is a dime. This is a dime. And again, defenses are going to have to do this. We're going to have to show up and get pressure against Ohio State with just your front 4. And so you're looking at Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Miami. I don't know if I need more than 2 hands to count the teams that could realistically pressure Ohio State without blitzing. Those are really kind of the only 4 that come to mind. And Miami sputtered. We've talked about the weaknesses of Oklahoma, Texas Tech. We'll see, but it could become a matchup thing when you get into the CFP of like, hey, if they do find Texas Tech early on, maybe that's something where matchup-wise that doesn't serve Ohio State well because David Bailey, the former Stanford Cardinal, could get after them. But Michigan is one who could potentially do that, and I could not be more hyped to inform you that we're less than a month away from that game. That feels like that could be the game in the Big Ten moving forward, because we have not talked about the Ohio State's inability to beat Michigan in a couple months now. I'm sure Portnoy has, but mainstream hasn't. And you better believe that week, Ohio State's done a good job of I feel like when I watch this film, Ohio State to me is a team that's playing freely. Like Penn State had tons of expectations coming into the season. When you watch the film, it looks like a team that had tons of expectations. For Ohio State, it looks like a team like they're the defending national champions, but everyone was giving Clemson and Penn State the headlines all off season. So they're kind of playing free, playing with house money. That changes when it's Michigan week. 3 segments. I went deep with those. We're already at 5:30. I got 2 more clipped out for YouTube this week. Keep an eye out. We're posting them on Monday and Tuesday. We had great numbers today. It was fun seeing you guys dive into the X's and O's or hang around for the X's and O's. Next week, I got Boston College versus SMU. The Mustangs heading to Chestnut Hill. I've been lucky this year where so they let me know my game either 6 or 13 days before, sometimes 10. But it's twice where like I've had a team that pulls an upset that week, but then I get them the next week. So like on paper, 6 days ago, Boston College, SMU, middle of the road ACC game. Now SMU pulled off the win right in the thick of the ACC race. So they should take care of business against BC, but we'll know. We'll see. Anyways, I got to go now cook 5 pounds of chicken thighs, meal prep for the week. And I will see you guys next Sunday, 4:30. And I'm posting content on all the platforms every single day. We're rocking and rolling. Enjoy the week ahead and enjoy